It is April 9th. We're here with Sheriff Hansel for his media availability, and we're going to just get on with these reporters' questions.
Great.
Now that the jail's booking has been limited to only serious or violent felonies, domestic violence, and child abuse, is there any guidance you can give to Humboldt County residents to protect themselves from crime?
My guidance is going to be the same that we gave people before this whole thing happened. That is, protect yourself. Protect your home. Make sure it's locked at all times. Make sure that you have the appropriate lighting at nighttime. If you have security cameras, make sure those are operational. Cut vegetation back from the house. Make sure no one can hide in there. And also, don't let yourself be vulnerable or victimized by leaving stuff in your vehicle. So your vehicle should not have any valuables in it whatsoever. It just takes a minute for someone to break a window, steal a purse, steal some valuables out of the car, and they're off. And so do your part to try and mitigate those circumstances and really do those crime prevention techniques that we've been preaching for years. There are people that are still being arrested for property crimes, whether they be held in the jail or being cited. There is accountability with that. So we are still investigating those. If we find them, we will arrest them, and they will eventually have their day in court.
Great. Regarding the shelter-in-place order, is the Sheriff's Office still primarily educating the public on how best to comply, or have any citations been issued?
So no citations have been issued yet. We've issued lots of warnings, and so we haven't had repeated warnings. That's when we get into those citations. So we log everyone's name that we end up giving warnings to. If we have repeat offenses, that's when we get into the citation aspect of things. So right now we have deputies responding. We have actually code enforcement officers for the county that are actually going out following up on complaints as well. But we're out there, and if we see people that are congregating together, we will stop, we will talk to them, and make sure that if it's people that are outside of someone's household, that we will discuss that with them, give them a warning. If we've warned them before, they might get a citation.
Okay, and I think that would align with the second question here is that, San Francisco is ticketing people who are out and about unnecessarily. Is the Sheriff's Office taking any similar measures to enforce staying at home?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this stuff around the state. Now, see, we are Northern California. We are rural. We have a lot of open space. I know Orange County, I think San Diego County, San Francisco, we're actually citing people to go to the beach and watch the sunset, right? And so what we're doing is we haven't had that problem. We know that there are people that are congregating. There are some parking lots that are full at the beach. We ask that people, if they pull into those parking lots, they see it's filling up, please go somewhere else. Please don't congregate. It's up to them to regulate this activity, do their best to kind of isolate, because we can only ramp up more regulations here. We can always, require, more. We can instill a curfew. There's a lot of things that we can do to try and convince people to isolate more. So we don't want to have to do that. So far, Humboldt County has been very, very good at the social isolation, and I think we can see that with our numbers, and so we're just going to continue that effect down the road.
And you mentioned the beaches and the crowding in the parking lots. Can you talk about our enforcement aspect of crowding on beaches? I know some people have had an issue with that.
So I think a lot of people drive by and they see like there's different parking lots that are near full, and so it causes some concern. I know there's some areas of beaches where people say there's multiple people hanging out in one location. So what we would like to do is we'll follow up on those complaints, and that we've actually gone out there and discussed those with people. We do have beach patrols that are out. They're irregular at times. They're patrolling different areas of the county, but we do have beach patrols, and so if we do come across those people, we will issue those warnings. But we just urge people, there's plenty of open space on the beach. Please separate yourselves. If you're going to go with your household, it's fine to all be together. If you're going there by yourself, please be by yourself. Don't, just because it's a beach, you can't have all your friends there. You can't have a party there. It's not something to do. So we urge people to continue that shelter in place and that social isolation, social distancing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. A few jurisdictions in California are weighing mandatory mask in public ordinances. Is there any talk of that happening here?
So right now, it's just a suggestion. It's highly recommended by the public health officer to wear a mask when you're out in public. And so we are, we're following through with that recommendation. It is not an order for everyone to do so right now. But I mean, eventually it could be a very, very strict order that the public health officer puts on Humboldt County.
Sure. And so we don't have, that order, like you said, yet, but one of our reporters just has a question regarding racial stereotyping and people of color choosing not to wear face coverings because it could put them in danger and sort of things. Do you have any comment on that?
So people shouldn't fear about that here. I know it is, for some people it is a genuine fear, but right now our goal here is to have people safe. And so law enforcement throughout the county will really urge people, if you're out in public, please wear a mask and please cover up that, your face and those kind of things. And it's very, very important that does happen. And to protect you, you're following the public health officer's order. You're not going to get any grief from law enforcement because you cover your face. We recognize the fact you're doing your mitigating factors to try and prevent illness from being spread in the community. And so you shouldn't see any pushback from law enforcement because you're wearing a mask.
Thank you. In regard to essential businesses using masks, gloves, and other PPE, and specifically the option to work from home, what degree and what responsibility do essential business employers have in providing PPE to essential workers?
So right now, it's all based upon their policy. We urge people that are working with the public to wear a mask. I mean, that's a recommendation, and so public safety personnel, we are pushing it out to all of our people that are dealing with the public to wear a mask. So if there is something out there, we would encourage employers to do that. The goal is to not spread, this virus. And so since it's airborne, and the recommendations are that right now to wear a mask, I would follow through with that. And the employers should provide some access to those masks or allow their employees to wear it, even if it's again, the public health officer is very clear that a cloth mask is a-okay for this time. We want to save the surgical masks and the higher grade masks for those that are in need or that are taken care of or that have coronavirus. Those are the people that should have those high degree medical type masks.
Sure. During the countywide shelter in place, are residents being allowed to access local trails and parks for outdoor recreation? What's the situation if they need to be alone with a household member, that sort of thing?
So right now it is part of our order to allow people to go out and visit parks. We understand we're in a rural area. We have access to parks, we have access to beaches, we have lots of trails out there. So we would love people to utilize those, but only when they can socially distance, they keep that 6-foot bubble around them at all times. We would love people just to access the areas that are closest to their house. But we also want people to spread out. So if you see that there's a trail that a lot of people are using, please go to another one. There's a lot of other places to go and to walk here in the county. There are certain trails within state parks and federal parks that are closed right now. So make sure you call ahead, make sure you visit those websites to see what parks are open and closed right now.
And then, do you support or reject emergency regulations to suspend, delay, or restrict sport and recreational fishing due to COVID-19, and why?
Yeah, I understand that Fish and Wildlife their commission is weighing in on whether or not they should suspend hunting and also sport fishing coming on, this late spring, summer, and into the fall. So I am against that. I think you have to be able to, I think, gauge this type of regulation based upon the area in the state that it's dealing with. So we are rural Northern California. We have a lot of wide open space, we have the wild rivers, we have the ocean, we have our beaches and vast forests and open space. We have the ability to really socially distance while we're performing these activities. So I'm urging the Fish and Game Commission, do not, put a blanket statement out there canceling hunting and fishing for all these different areas. I think our local residents should be allowed to get their hunting permits. They should be allowed to fish and hunt here in rural Northern California. This is a lot of times this is generational. They're generational hunters. You need it for food. It is not just a sport. It is for food, as well as we have our Native American community that is cultural, and so don't deprive us of these opportunities to enjoy our county and to provide this sustenance for our families.